Hello, I am Alexandra J. Johnson with the Entheos Academy for Optimal Living. Today I'm talking with Jeff Klein, one of the leading experts on conscious capitalism, and we are chatting about his course called It's Just Good Business, the Power of Conscious Capitalism and the Practice of Working for Good. Hi, Jeff. It's such a pleasure to be chatting with you.
Oh, delightful.
So, I'd love to start off with the question about what is conscious capitalism?
What is conscious capitalism? Conscious capitalism is a way of orienting the business in a way of seeing and doing and being in business that is an emerging orientation distinctly different from the way business is normally done. Mm-hmm. And it reflects what we call conscious awareness. And we define four principles of a conscious business, four core principles. And they are purpose is the first one. Mm-hmm. And I'll go through them quickly, and then I'll go back and give a little illumination in more depth. Okay. The second one is a stakeholder orientation, seeing and orienting in systems rather than in lines, right?
Right.
The third one is conscious leadership, and the fourth one is conscious culture. And so the way they hold together is, in legal context and in the kind of general conception of business, call it the mainstream, the purpose of business is business, right? And the purpose of business is to make money. Mm-hmm. By law, businesses have to create value, return on investment for their shareholders. Conscious capitalism, conscious business recognizes that every business has a purpose or multiple purposes beyond making money, right?
Right.
Ed Freeman, who's the academic father of the stakeholder model of business, which I'll get to next, uses the metaphor, the analogy of the human body, right? The human body makes red blood cells and has to make red blood cells to live. But the purpose of the human body is not to make red blood cells, right?
Right.
It's much more complex. So we recognize the same way a business. A business has to make money. It has to generate a profit to exist and to persist over time. But that's not why it exists, right?
Right.
It exists for many reasons, whether it's creating widgets, providing, goods and services to people, making the world a better place, whatever the purpose is, it's something other than, in addition to, making money. Mm-hmm. So that's one. All right? Make sense?
Yeah, totally. Awesome. Love it.
It's kind of nonsense. But secondly, the stakeholder orientation. Similar to and related to that first one, where in the old paradigm, the purpose of business is to generate money. Mm-hmm. Well, next step is generate money for shareholders, and the whole orientation is shareholders. Look at it as a tube, right? You put inputs in and profits come out.
Right.
Well, in conscious business and conscious capitalism, we recognize that a business is, first of all, it's a form of human social organization, right? It's people getting together to do something. Mm-hmm. To do something for themselves and for other people and for, the community and the society, right?
Right.
It's way beyond just, inputs in, profit out. And a business is an ecosystem. You could call it an ecosystem within a larger ecosystem. So you have, the people who start and run the business. You have the employees. You have the vendors, you have the investors, you have the customers, you have the communities they do business in, you have the environment that provides the raw materials, etc. And all of these are stakeholders that have an interest in the business, right? Without them, the business doesn't exist.
Right.
So recognize that they are working together, whether it's conscious or not. And making it conscious is saying, hey, this is not a straight line. This is an ecosystem. And all these stakeholders are, populations of organisms or organs, if you want to look at it in an organism, and they need to work together. And our job as leaders is to recognize that, to find how do we serve them, engage them in a conscious process of co-creating this business. Right?
Brilliant.
So third, and related to that, is the leadership, right? Mm-hmm. How does leadership function in this context? First of all, the leaders recognize and the deeper purpose. They recognize the principle of interdependence and stakeholder ecosystem model, and they serve the purpose and they serve the stakeholders, right? Mm-hmm. Makes sense. And they also recognize that leadership, it's not, a leadership is beyond a leader, right? There's no one person that embodies leadership.
Right.
Leadership is distributed throughout a system. It's distributed on different levels, at different times, by different people, and they cultivate the same orientation throughout their system, mm-hmm. right? So they want others to be empowered and to step up and serve the purpose and serve the stakeholders and serve the relationship between the stakeholders the same way they do, right. Which leads to conscious culture, right? And the conscious culture is one. I use the analogy of if the stakeholder system is like a living ecosystem, then culture is either the soil or the solution that ecosystem resides in, right? And it provides the nutrients and the juice that runs throughout the system and kind of ties it all together, right?
Right.
So that's how we define a business operates on the principles of conscious capitalism.
Fantastic. So,
and some of the and you didn't ask this question.
You're like answering. No, you're answering all of my questions, so it's great. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to give some examples, but
do it.
You want to ask a question?
No, give some examples. Would be awesome.
Okay, and I'm going to give the example of Whole Foods to begin with, because Whole Foods really is a beautiful reflection of this way of thinking. And John Mackey, the co-founder, co-CEO of Whole Foods, really has been a leading philosopher as well as practitioner of conscious capitalism. Mm-hmm. As years went on of building Whole Foods, he's an avid reader and serious thinker, and we're always analyzing what are we doing, how are we doing it, where are we drawing our inspiration from, and out of that process emerged this understanding of, this is the way we're doing business. And then he came across Ed Freeman's work, he came across Raj Sisodia and companies' work on firms of endearment, and saw that academics were thinking this way, and he was practicing business this way. Kip Tyndall of the Container Store. Similarly, John and he reconnected after years they went to college together, didn't see each other for 20-some years, they got together. They're doing business the same way, right? Patagonia, and there are other companies and people that have been doing this business this way, and now they're coming together. But the point I was going to make about Whole Foods is if you look at Whole Foods, they have a team-based empowerment culture. Right?
Right.
While there is a strong center and core in Austin, the regions and the stores have great autonomy. And then within the stores, each department has teams, and those teams have great autonomy within the stores. So people are empowered to make decisions about how their department works, or how their store works, or how their region works. They also really have the stakeholder orientation. You go in the store and they have their values, and their values are all, and a declaration of interdependence that articulates what their relationship is to each stakeholder group, and what their commitments are to each stakeholder group. What they want to do vis-a-vis, delighting their customers, and how they relate to their vendors. It's very explicit, mm-hmm. and then it's embodied through the way they conduct their business through it.
Yeah.
So, little bit of...
It's awesome, and I love what the conscious business, Whole Foods as the example, the integrity with which conscious businesses show up in the world is so inspiring.
Well, really well said. And, no one's perfect, and no group of people are perfect. The thing that stands out to me as one of the strongest indications is the ability to, one, be transparent, and two, to very clearly learn and grow and develop, where you can see an ongoing progression over time, and that, we make mistakes, we're missing certain things, and when they're brought to our attention, we consider them, and as appropriate within the context of our ongoing development, we adapt and adjust and change. And this is, really, really key. And we adapt and change connected to our core principles and our purpose. Mm-hmm. It's not just to chase the money. Now, it's can we more fully live what it is that we've set out that we're here to do.
Right. And so people watching this video are intrigued about conscious capitalism in this course, potentially. Who is this course for? Is it for any human being who's interested in business? Who do you think this course is speaking to?
Well, that's a great question. And, the same question you asked in some ways and others asked about my book, mm-hmm. Working for Good. And the answer is there are people who are leading organizations on any level in any kind of organization who want to more deeply understand and understand the principles, see best practices, mm-hmm. perhaps cultivate skills for their own development, for their team development. So leaders. Mm-hmm. Secondly, entrepreneurs who are looking to start something and they want to really embody what it is their intention is. And having this frame and having some of the practice support embodying that intention. Mm-hmm. Students, similarly, who want to understand, okay, I'm an MBA student or a business student and I want to make a difference in the world. How can I see the possibilities of making a difference through business in a way where one of my mottos is the process is the product, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not about making lots of money and then giving back. Mm-hmm. It's about doing business in such a way that you are adding value in a way that's consistent with your intentions and your principles and your values from the get-go, right? And then anyone, quite frankly, because we all are customers, mm-hmm. all not, investors. We're all work with and for other people, and how we show up every day in all of those situations and all of those transactions informs the whole system. Mm-hmm. Right? So no matter where we come into it, whether it's as a citizen, as a customer, as an employee, as an investor, as a member of the community, understanding what the possibilities are for and with business, I think is tremendously empowering and significant.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that business, which obviously you agree, that business has the ability to transform the world. Can you talk a little bit about how you see doing good business and conscious capitalism as really being a vehicle to transform and change the world?
Yeah, that's a big question, needless to say. First of all, taking a kind of pulling the lens back and looking at a big view, in some respects, what we do is profoundly insignificant, right? in the big picture. I mean, as far as we know, the Big Bang happened about 13 billion years ago, and what's happening now is kind of a continued expression of the expansion of the universe. Yep. After the Big Bang. And so we're like, a speck of dust in an infinite space. And what we do, how is it going to affect that space? I don't presume to know, or I just don't know. Right. What we do know is that we have our individual and collective experience. Mm-hmm. It feels a certain way, and we have as a species, we have this built-in mechanism that is designed to move toward things that increase the chances of our survival and the survival of our DNA and our offspring. So, in part, I think that this whole conscious capitalism movement is a reflection of the deeper evolution of humanity, both on an individual level and on a cultural societal level and on a species level, mm-hmm. where we're recognizing that the way that we're doing certain things may actually be creating harm and be dangerous to us and may undermine or mitigate our chances for individual and collective and ongoing survival. Right. And our impulse is to move towards things that enhance our survival ability, right? And then beyond, you look at Maslow's hierarchy and, other models of individual human development, there seems to be a tendency to move towards those things that are expansive, that create, a broader sense of connection and meaning and relevance. And I think this is a reflection of that as well. So that is a frame. Say that I think that conscious capitalism, conscious business, working for good are really expressions of an emerging evolutionary process. And they're going to happen whether we do anything or not, right? We're just essentially expressing what evolution is bringing forth. And our capacity to think this way and our capacity to reflect and observe the implications of what we do, and then based on that reflection, being informed and change our orientation, I think it's just what's emerging as, human capacity.
Beautifully said. Love it, love it, love it. Well, I'm very, very excited about this course. And like you said, it is a course for anyone in any situation. So I'm very, very excited about the course. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit of your wisdom today. And, any of you that are watching this, if you're loving what Jeff Klein's talking about, then sign up. It's a lot of good stuff. So thank you so much, Jeff.
Oh, thank you. Delightful to talk with you, Alexandra.
You too. Bye.
Bye.